Are you into expandable card games, but you want to mix your expandable card game with a board game? Does that sound like something you want to do?
Totally.
Well, today I have the perfect game for you.
I'm excited.
Do you know what the game is?
No.
You can't see it because I have the box turned around, so you can't see it. You're totally not prepared. Surprise. Because today on Joker Reviews, we're going to be talking Summoner Wars.
Master Set. Setup for the game is pretty straightforward. You unfold this giant board here. Beautiful. Set your wound tokens and die to the side within easy reach of all the reach impaired people, aka people with short arms like me. And then you pick a deck. I am starting here with my OG deck. As you can see here, you get this sort of guide. Tells you turn phase, which we'll go over in a bit, and kind of your basic setup. Essentially, you get this little card here where it tells you, hey, S stands for Takulu? I'm going to go with Takulu. Sorry, I just nudged the thing there. Made the wobble wobble. He's my summoner. And then above him is the controller, and then you see like the wall goes here, and you lay out the board according to this little card, and then you can flip it over so you have that little cheat sheet which tells you everything that's in your deck as far as event cards are concerned, and then your turn summary again, which we'll get into later. From there, players shuffle their remaining cards and put them face down over here in their draw pile. Very nice. Please note that you actually don't start the game with any cards. No cards in your hand, guys. Said that again. Nothing in your hands. Your hands are empty. Then each player rolls a die. The player who gets the higher number chooses who gets to go first. If you tie, you just do it again. The player with the first turn must skip phases 1 through 3. So, as you'll see here, and again, we'll get to this later, you can't draw, you can't summon, or play event cards on your first turn. And you have to begin with the movement phase, which is step 4. During the first movement phase, the player going first can only move with up to 2 units instead of the normal 3. The player may then complete the rest of their turn normally. So there's a slight variance with going first. I personally don't like it. I think it puts you at a bit of a disadvantage, but open to interpretation. Now that you guys know how the game is set up, I want to talk about the cards a little bit so you know what you're looking at when you pull out these cards. Number 1 is what's called the attack value. Basically, when you're attacking with this unit, you roll that number of dice. Pretty straightforward. This is the summoning cost. So this costs 1 magic point to summon. This costs 2. This is special. It doesn't have a summoning cost. Okay. This is the special ability for the card. Basically, it's a set of rules that applies only to that card. So for example, the Deceiver has an ability called Stun, where a common enemy unit that begins a turn adjacent to this Deceiver cannot move or attack during that turn. The Controller, as another example, has Telekinetic Blast. After attacking with this controller, you may choose a unit that is within 2 spaces of this controller. Move the chosen unit up to 1 space. A controller cannot be moved using Telekinetic Blast. This symbol is pretty apparent. It tells you whether or not it's ranged. This one has a little bow. It's ranged. I don't have any non-ranged, so I'm gonna sneak across. This is a non-ranged. It has sword. Basically, this can only attack things adjacent. There are, I think, some cards that are in some of the special decks where they have special rules that allow cards that aren't normally able to attack at range because of, their little symbol to attack at range. The ranged units can attack 3 clear lines of sight, so 1, 2, 3. They can't go over walls. Or let's say this was here. Pretend this wall wasn't here. This was here and this was here. Where actually it would make more sense to reverse them because these are technically on the same team. You couldn't do that either. You can't attack through people because, it's bad. You hurt your friends, and we frown upon that here in Summoner Wars. Totally messed up the board. I'm sorry, guys. This just tells you the unit name. It'll tell you if it's common. There's certain rules that go along with common cards. Usually you have cards that can only affect common abilities, and anything stronger than that, like a summoner or a champion, can't be affected. These are your life points. Basically, I'll bring one up closer so it's easier to see. see these like little filled in dots here. This tells you, hey, this guy has 5 life points. And this one has 1. So sad. Doesn't take much to murder that one. I'm just gonna stick this back into place. And Jeremy is gonna go over each of your phase turn options. Turn phase. I said that very strangely, sir. Very strangely indeed.
Okay, so your turn is broken up into 6 different phases. Outside of the first person who goes, they kind of have a little bit of a disadvantage. Or it's an advantage, depending on how you look at it. But your first phase is to draw. And that is when you draw up to 5 cards into your hand. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So this is our hand right now. The second stage is to summon. So say this is our first turn. The other person went first, so they had to skip all their steps. Or half their steps. Now we're on the second term and we're drawing, but we don't have any magic pile here. So we cannot summon right now because we don't have anything to summon with. Nothing. And this costs 1, this costs 2. These are event cards, we haven't gotten that far yet. But, so we can't summon anything. We then go into stage 3, which is playing event cards, which means we could play these cards. So this one allows you to look at an opponent's hand, choose an event card, excluding any type of wall from the chosen event opponent's hand, and place it in your hand. So you can use somebody else's event card. It seems a little bit better than it actually is because a lot of the event cards are very specific to the decks. But it also does take that event card away from somebody else. So you can play as many of these event cards as you want. They don't cost magic or anything. So after you do that, you then move. You are allowed to move up to 3 of your units that are on the board, 2 spaces each. So this one could go here, this one could go here, and this one can go here. So now we've completed the movement phase. Now we go into the attack phase. The attack phase is when you roll die based on what the attack value is against an opponent's card. So in this case, we don't have anything we can attack immediately. So let's say this one was up here instead. Now it's 3 spaces away. My person is a ranged card. Sorry, not rolled. A ranged card, and it can now hit. So I would roll 1 die. No, sorry, I rolled 2 dice on this one, and it would attack here. If my die rolls a 3 or higher, the attack lands. If it rolls a 2 or a 1, then it is a failure. On this one, all I have to do is hit him once, and he dies. So, say I succeed, he's now dead. Now, what happens to this card? He goes into my magic pile. This is how you can start growing your magic pile, so you can use these cards to summon other cards. So like this one has a summoning, actually I have this one in my hand. This is a summoning cost of 1. So next turn I have 1 magic in here, so I'd be able to summon this guy. And that's if I choose not to build my magic in the final phase of my turn. I can take any of these cards and I can discard them and throw them right into my magic pile. So now, come next turn, when I have the ability to summon, maybe I drew some extra cards. So say I have all these in here. Let's draw back up to 5. We've gone around, and we're on my next turn. So now I have a lot of stuff that I can summon because I now have 4 cards in my magic pile. And as I go to summon, say I summon this one right here. There. Oh, I can't put that there. I have to summon it adjacent to a wall. So now that magic point goes out of my magic pile and goes into my discard. And kind of rinse and repeat. We can play event cards, we can move, and we can attack. That's kind of how a basic turn works in this game. The last thing we need to go over is the win condition. And you can only win this game by destroying this guy. Or that guy over there. You can't see very well. He's over here. He's kind of like poking off there. But whichever summoner goes down first loses all their health here. So every time you attack an opposing card, you give a wound token to one of these. So this guy has 5 health. So once he's taken 5 wounds, he is dead, and you have won the game. Pretty simple. So you're always trying to protect this guy. The summoner usually has some pretty good powers, but you don't want to just kind of run forward with your summoner because if he dies, then you have lost the game. And that's kind of how Summoner Wars works. So I'll meet you back up top, and we will talk about our final thoughts on the game. So now that you mechanically know how Summoner Wars work, we're going to discuss a little bit about our thoughts on it, our pros and cons. What are some things that you like about Summoner Wars?
I like that, to an extent, I like having a pre-made deck because when we play other deck building games like Star Realms, for example, I have a tendency to not have money to buy the things, and that's kind of annoying for me. I mean, there is something nice about being able to make your own deck and having like a true, like, traditional
deck
building game, but there is something nice about having a pre-made deck as well and just being able to like pull it out and start playing.
Yeah.
Definitely like that.
I mean, I feel like this gets kind of advertised as a deck builder, but it doesn't really hit that, right?
No. It's pre-made deck, and then you play a game, and you maybe win or you maybe lose. Yeah. That's what happens in games.
I definitely think they're. I mean, I like the fact that you do have a little bit of structure, and the decks have like built-in synergy with them, so they're designed to kind of play off of each other. At least the ones that you start with, outside of trying to like make your own kind of custom decks, which I appreciate that that's an option. I feel like it's not executed very well from my understanding of how it works, just because so many of the cards are geared around specific cards and specific decks that, you can summon, you can like kind of substitute different things in there. The only thing I actually ever see in at least in the ones that we have that mentions about building your own custom decks is literally on the mutation rule card. It mentions
for the
about
filth,
for the filth. It literally mentions that you can build your own decks, and that's like the only thing I've ever seen in any of the rule books or anything like that, which is kind of weird. But I mean, I appreciate that, a little bit of the flexibility. What are some things that you think are cons of Summoner Wars?
Well, I personally don't like the art too much for the most part. Like, there are some nicer things. We'll just use the box. Like, I think the Shadow Elves, I wanted to say Dark Elves, but Shadow Elves have nice art, but I think like the orcs are gross. I'm not into like the zombie art. That's not like my thing. But it's not like it's poorly done. It's just specific to people, and like the standing goblins aren't exactly cute. I think that the print could be a little small for certain people. Like, I personally need reading glasses, and sometimes, like, if we're playing for a long time or doing, like, multiple rounds, it's a little
hard to keep reading it
for me to read.
They fit a lot on those cards.
Yeah. Some of it isn't particularly clear. Like, the first time playing, I think there are definitely some decks that are geared towards beginners more than others.
Yeah.
I would also say that some of the matchups, they don't do well together. Like, it's not that it's unbalanced necessarily, it's just that some decks are at a severe disadvantage when facing other decks. And a lot of it's also just like luck of the draw because certain cards will like play off of each other and things of that nature. And if you don't draw the right cards, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The last thing I will say is that I don't like how the box, and could you please just, this really bothers me. It bothers me so much. I need Jeremy to demonstrate. It doesn't come with like places for the cards. It comes with tons and tons of baggies, but they just slide around, and like, what is that? And then the board.
That's really strange. I don't understand why it's like that. Like, I mean, I guess they want to make sure that you have room for however many decks you end up with, but
I mean, we could just pile them on top of each other like any other game with cards.
Or you could, look at like a Tyrants of the Underdark, where you stack the decks on top of each other, even if you're using expansions or you're using extra decks.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is that I do like the board. It's a good quality board. It's just, it's 6 flaps instead of like the normal 4, like if you have a smaller game like 2 or just like a flat thing. And it's like really annoying to open and close. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm like knocking it against the other pieces, and I'm like, I don't want to damage Jeremy's stuff.
Sometimes the layers will kind of break apart from each other. And also, this might not affect most people, but YouTuber problems. This is glossy as hell. And it is really hard to get lighting on this that doesn't make an obnoxious glare. And I'm
sure flare, sun flare. What's it when the thing that what's his face who did the Transformers always does? Lens flare. That's what lens flare.
Literally every Let's Play, just a whole bunch of lens flares trying to move the freaking lights around to make it so it actually shows. And that's not a problem.
That's coming in the future. We didn't get there yet, but we run the magic. We pre-filmed. It's also a big board, so it's hard to get on a smaller table. You need a big. This is our dining room table. It's basically the only table that we have that can fit this game.
Yeah, you definitely need a full gaming table. And
we play on the edge of the bed normally.
Yeah,
it's you can play it. It doesn't shift very much if your bed isn't super lumpy, but
it's actually one of the few games where you could actually just play it on your bed, which standing next to your bed or something and playing it. Which I have a raised bed where I store all my games under my bed.
It's 4 feet off the bed, pretty much.
So we can play it on the bed, and I'm going to talk about the biggest con with this game is.
Tell me more. What is it?
I think you can figure out what it is, but
can I?
This game costs so much.
It is.
It's so expensive, and it's unnecessarily expensive. Just for the master set, this master set right here, with none of the expansions or anything. Right now, the only price that I found it on, literally on Amazon, was for $150.
That's a lot, especially because this is a card game.
Yeah, that's a price that you would spend on something that has a Space Hulk. Or something like that, where it has a ton of miniatures that you can paint and a lot of plastic.
Or the pre-painted miniatures.
Yeah,
I like that because I can't paint.
Yeah, but a lot of the miniature ones don't come with the pre-painted ones.
Yeah.
But Space Hulk. Yeah, the Warhammer 40K.
War of the Ring. It's not quite that expensive, but I believe it has
Rune Wars.
Some minis. Rune Wars has minis. Arcadia Quest has tons of. Well, not tons and tons of mini, but it has mini.
But even that, Arcadia Quest was $80?
I think I got mine for $50, but it was slightly discounted. I think they average $60 to $70.
We're very thrifty buyers. This came from a used game. That's why we don't have a lot of the packaging or anything. So it was a used game trade-in spot at a convention, which was amazing. That was I got so many good games there. I
remember that.
So many good.
And I was his trunk was filled, and I was oh dear God, what did you do?
I literally came home with an entire trunk, hatchback trunk, filled with games. I was reinforcing. Filled bottom to top with games because of that one booth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really expensive.
Price wise, there is some exceptions, but a lot of the expansions I've seen average $10-15, and there's 6 in this starter deck. So figure that's $60, and then the rest of that money is literally for tokens, some die. We didn't have them when we bought them, so those weren't in there, and then baggies.
A lot of this. I'm even seeing a lot of the starter sets now, which are just 2 decks going for $85.
Absurd. Obscene.
So that's too much.
That's a lot of money.
That's too much. That's my biggest con.
Yeah. So final ratings. I think we're in that time, right? Nothing more you wanted to say. You want to go first?
I'd probably give it a 7.5 or an 8. I give it an 8.
An 8's a good number.
I give it an 8 because I think it's creative that you have an expanding card game of tactical combat.
That's exactly how they market, yeah.
As it says on the box. But you're drawing, you're playing cards, you're sort of deck building, but you're playing around on the board as well, and that the cards become the pieces, which I think is cool. Which it's shades of Tyrants of the Underdark, which probably has my favorite blending of mechanics out of any game.
It's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, but show Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah. Where you're I summon this, and I activate my trap card, aka event card. I make weird sounds with my mouth sometimes. I think.
Yeah. Good.
For me, it's more of an 8.8. I really like it, but
8.8.
I think the problems I have with this is that I lose a lot because this game is so luck based on do you get the cards that take a lot of summoning cost up front, and 9 times out of 10 I do, and then it's I can either sacrifice them and wind up with crappy common units and die in a hit, or I could hold them and then not kind of do what I need. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Wait, I was talking and then you tried to start talking again. I like a lot of the tactical elements, the movement elements. I think that the price is definitely a problem. I really don't understand why this is so expensive. I mean, I forgot to mention, like, the board is a nice board, but, like, that really shouldn't... Like, they average, like, $20 if you're just buying an extra one on Kickstarter, so I'm using that as a basis. I don't get it. Again, not the biggest fan of some of the art. I would like to win this more often. Yeah. I feel like it sounds like a really bad thing to say, but you have to understand that me and Jeremy play games a lot. And my win ratio is just sad unless we're playing like Shot and Totten, and it depresses me after a while. Like, I'm nice about it, but I'm just like, you know, if I win this, I feel like I'd like it more because I associate it with winning, and that's a positive thing.
Hey, you know, won it a couple times. Oh, you won it once.
I've literally won, just once. I was like thinking about it. I was like, wait, I must have won more than once.
Yeah, you've won it once, but that's okay.
Out of like the 100 times we played, I'm doing great.
I mean, I was gonna make a reference to something you were speaking to earlier, where you were saying about.
Did you forget?
I literally just forgot. I went to interrupt you before, and then I didn't get to.
That's what happens. Jeremy forgets.
Yeah, that's what happens. I forget things. Oh, what I was gonna say is you were saying it was very luck based, and I was going to say, like, each deck seems to have a way that you're supposed to play it, and there's an ideal way to play it, but the only way to get that ideal way to play it is if your deck happens to be shuffled the right way. Yeah. So, like, you get a lot of low-cost cards early on, you get your event cards at the right times, and then you get your champions towards the end. If you get your champions early on, you basically shot the way of playing that deck out of the window.
Things that like go together. Like, we have a zombie, like a fallen empire, fallen army,
fallen kingdom.
Thank you. Whatever. I knew it was a synonym, and you need certain cards to kind of play off each other. And if they don't all come out at once, it just doesn't work. Yeah. Or if you don't dice roll well, which I don't often, it just doesn't work. So those are definitely some issues. Like, if you suck at dice rolling, but you like card games, this might not be the game for you. If you like, you know, some riskier elements, you like some strategy, you like card games, and I mean, this is pretty straightforward. It's basically like just follow the little turnover card, which I didn't mention this before. Considering that we do have that cheat sheet, we forget the order a lot, which is kind of weird.
It's kind of a wonky order, I guess. It's just like, but definitely, like, if you do want to pick up a copy of Summoner Wars, we will have a link down below, and we will try and find the best price available for you guys. It'll be no extra cost to you, and it'll really help us out. We will really appreciate it. Definitely thumbs up, right?
Yeah, we like those.
Thumbs up. Demonstrate how to do it. There you go. See?
But only one. Just otherwise it negates.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Don't
numbers.
Stay away from that one. This one only. And comment down below. What do you think of Summoner Wars? Do you have it? Have you played it? Have you played any the other decks that aren't in the master set or any like the starter packs? Let us know what the experience is like with getting things beyond the master set.
Suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions that we could add to our set. We've been playing with this the entire time.
Stop it.
Definitely subscribe to the channel. You'll see we got Summoner Wars September. Going to be this whole month. We're going to be doing some Let's Plays. And it's kind of late in the video to be announcing this. But yeah, we're going to be...
Better late than never, dear.
We are going to be doing the next 3 weeks in a row. We're going to be playing different decks out of the master set. And maybe a couple of expansion decks. We haven't decided exactly which decks
we'll get there
yet. But, so you're going to be able to see us play with some of these things and get a real sense for it in head-to-head combat. So you got to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
So you know what's up.
And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye, everybody.